Hey, so what do you do when you going in one direction and all of a sudden there's a major shift? You go in one area and then all of a sudden, boom, it shifts. A career ending injury, you get fired from a job, divorce. Look, my guest here today, we're going to share all the tips that you need in order to stay unbreakable. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome to Unbreakable. Look, y'all, I got a very special guest in the house today. My Spartan brother, Mr. Joshua Langford's in the house. Big Ten player, just phenomenal, pro bound, on his way. Look, we enjoyed watching him on the courts, playing, and just what exciting player. 6'5", 200, shooting guard, just lighting the courts up, and then all of a sudden, bam, career-ending injury. Man, what happened in the game where you went down? Was it an ankle? Was it a foot? Was it everything? What happened?
Man, well, first of all, thanks for having me, man. Good to be able to kick it with a fellow Spartan.
Yes, sir.
Good in that white.
God, thank you. That's right, baby. That's right. I put it on today, especially for you.
Yeah, that green popping just right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But man, no, we were playing Northern Illinois, and it's funny because Mark Montgomery, who was he coached at Michigan State for some time, played at Michigan State. He actually was there, I think, when I was getting ready to come out. He just got a job at Detroit Mercy. So it was funny because he was actually the head coach there when we were playing against Northern Illinois. And it wasn't like this initial, some people have like traumatic events where it's like you can tell that they broke something, and you can tell that something happened.
Right.
My injury wasn't like that. It was just, I think it was just over time, and then when we were playing against Northern Illinois, it just got to a point to where it was unbearable. And but I learned how to be unbreakable through the unbearableness. That was a bar real quick. That was, but
Right, 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 right. That's right. That's right. That's a bar.
yeah, but no. So I got to a point to where I really couldn't jump off my foot, and I was trying to shoot, and it was just like, man, I couldn't do anything. And so against Northern Illinois, that's when it really began to take place. And then that night, I got it checked out, and they actually had said that it didn't look to be anything major because you know that you have quick access to
Right.
medical teams and things like that. In the
ASAP. That's
yeah,
right.
as soon as possible. So it's like as soon as the game was over, they took me to get it checked, get it MRI, um, and when they got it back, they said it was fine. And then what happened was I ended up getting a call, maybe a little bit. I don't know if it was an MRI or an X-ray. Might have been an MRI because X-ray because the MRI. I don't know. They don't come back that quick, do they?
Look, man, when they invest in thousands of dollars and scholarships and athletes, they make stuff happen really quick that they don't necessarily do for the public because they want
Yeah.
you
So,
to perform.
right. Right. So, nevertheless, whatever I got, whatever scanned me, I got that information back, and they said it looked okay. Let's just give it some rest. And then I end up getting a call like 2 hours, 3 hours later, 4 hours later, however long it was. It was still in that same day or the same night, and they said, "Hey, I need you to come back. We need to talk more about it." And then that's when I
Mm.
found out that things weren't looking as good as they thought uh, them to be. And it was interesting because when I was getting it checked and when we were going through that first initial process of talking about my picture, I never really felt settled inside about like, okay, yeah, this is it. It just felt like something was more going on underneath the surface. And then, come to find out, ended up being a stress fracture in my navicular bone in my left foot. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And that's tough too, man. Cause those metatarsals and that all those bones in that foot is vital for planting and cutting and just the pounding and running and
Hmm.
on the hardwood, just like it would be, on the turf. And I do understand that feeling of feeling unsettled.
Yeah.
Because and for those that don't know, um, I also suffered a career-ending injury.
Hmm.
He had a stress fracture. Joshua had a stress fracture. I broke two bones, cracked three, dislocated five, and had to get two pins put in my foot. And when they put the uh, X-ray up on the wall, they closed the door and talked about the X-ray when I wasn't even there. I knew it was a wrap for me when
Wow.
they gonna have a private conversation and look at me and then close the door. Man, I cried like a baby.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
So so in that process, how long after when they told you about, when they had a conference, how long after they actually looked at your X-ray did you know that you wasn't gonna play anymore?
So the process was very interesting. And like some of that stuff is it's kind of choppy, like your memory about all that stuff. But what I really remember was there was a small moment where I ended up going to we went to Green Bay, Wisconsin. As I think it was Dr. Anderson. He looked at my foot, and so we were gonna try to have me in the boot for some time, let it see if it would just settle and heal by itself without any surgery. And so it was about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks where I was in the boot,
Okay.
and then we went back, and it was just more or less like, okay, we need to do surgery on it. And so I was actually 13 games into the season.
Right.
Um, the season had already been going. As a matter of fact, that was a really good season for me. Like that was probably the season. That was my junior.
That was
This
your
was my junior.
breakout season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I know. We was watching you break out.
yeah. So like I had literally just came off a game against Texas where I had like maybe I want to say six in the first half, but then in the second half I came back and I had 22, and I was like I was on, and then things just started really. I was gaining momentum, and so I was like 13 games into what I felt like was a really, like you said, a breakout season for me. And so you know I ended up finding out that the just having the being in the boot and trying to take that time of rest, it didn't work. We needed to go further and get surgery. And so then they ended up putting me back, and I ended up missing my whole junior season.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So I want to point this out. So you got an old school guy in here like me, Coach Bowles. You got a young man in here like Joshua Langford, and we both experienced losses on some things we probably dreamed about. I dreamed about playing professional football all my life. And I'm sure you dreamed about playing professional basketball. And
Mhm.
so when you suffer a loss like that, it doesn't have to be in sports. It can be in any area. It could be a marriage. It could be
Mhm.
a relationship. It could be a
Mhm.
loss of a parent. It could be a job. It's what mentally do you need to do in order to prepare. So my injury was instant. I knew I was done when they closed the door. And when they opened the door back up, they said, "Hey, You just suffered a 1 percentile injury. We don't even see these type of injuries. In fact, they used my X-ray to train their medical staff.
Mm,
And the only thing I could think, the only positive thing I could say was I went out on the one.
mm,
If I went out, I doggone it, I would want to go out on a one percentile injury. That's what took me out. It wasn't anything else. Now it was a
mm,
little different for you because it was over time.
mm.
So mentally, what sort of things did you have to go through when it came down to your identity being tied to the game or feeling that emotional setback? What sort of things did you feel or think? And then what did you do to begin to prepare to move on to the next phase? How long did it take you?
Man, so like you said, it was over time. And the crazy part about it is I ended up coming back for my senior year. And even in my senior year, preseason, I was ranked like one of the, I don't know, top 40 players in the country, like preseason. Um, I think I'm remembering that correctly. Um, and so I'm just like, okay, I still, people are still seeing me as someone that can still have, the kind of impact I think I need to have in college sports or in the game of basketball in college or state to get to the NBA. Because like you said, the NBA was my dream. It was the apex for me in my mind.
Right.
So um, to have that first, I had that first injury my junior year. I worked to get back, and then I come to my senior year, and I have the same injury uh, again, like almost the exact same injury on my
Mhm.
left foot. Just this time, I fractured my navicular bone like kind of a different way. Um, and so you talk about like over time, I experienced back to back injury um, in a matter of almost 2 years, maybe less than 2 years. And a lot of times life can do the same thing, where it's like you feel like you got these back to back. You just kind of like, dang, I can't believe this just happened. Or
Right,
like,
right.
can I catch a break? You just kind of like, how the people say life just be life.
You
You know what I'm saying?
exactly,
So,
exactly.
yeah. So you have all of these different. Were you gonna say something?
Nah, nah, I mean
Okay.
life be life, and like you said, I feel look, I understand that 100%.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think for me, it was challenging because I had experienced injury before. I had experienced matter of fact, when I was 12 years old, I experienced a life-threatening sickness, bacterial meningitis. And so I had experienced some
Mhm.
hardship and some challenges. Um, but this one was a little bit different for me because I had like so much expectation in
Mhm.
getting to this place,
Right.
without like getting to this particular destination of professional basketball. And so it took me some time to really um, kind of settle in with, okay, this is happening. It was almost like I kind of went through a grieving process. Um,
Absolutely.
where you have this dream that you feel like is going to be a living hope for you, and then when that living hope is taken away, you just start grieving. And I think everybody does it differently, but for me, I feel like the first year I kind of really wasn't accepting, okay, this actually happened. um
Okay,
and then
so
that
so your first year of going through the process, you was still kind of in denial. And I hate to use that word denial, but I like what the way you said it. You not really haven't accepted it yet.
right, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so the first injury, I didn't. It was hard for me. I didn't really accept it. Like I can tell. I can looking back on it emotionally. I can tell that I didn't accept it because, um, it was just kind of like I just tried to ignore it. Like, okay, yeah,
Hmm.
this didn't really happen. This didn't, and I tried to cover it up with this reality of, okay, well, I can still be a part of the team. I can still involve myself, which was, I was, those are good things. You know what I'm saying? Like knowing how to still engage with the team or knowing how to still engage um, in whatever it is that you're going through after you experience something traumatic. I think that's good. And also at the same time, there's another aspect of acknowledging the emotional side, the traumatic impact that your emotions feel when you go through something that is traumatic,
Right.
you know. And so like that first injury, I was like you said, I was kind of like in this stage of denial. And then the second injury, um, I just went into depression. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So I went that first injury was just I wasn't really accepting. I was denying it, wasn't acknowledging, okay, this is something that has happened. This is how I feel about it emotionally. Because a lot of times you talk about performance, right?
Yep.
Performance can be so, as an athlete, you can, or anybody that wants to perform at a high level, you can condition yourself in such a way to where you don't always acknowledge the emotional aspect of your life
That's right.
that actually propels you to perform better.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? Like, and so I wasn't acknowledging the emotional side of it. And then, I got to that second year where I just gave up. Like I gave up on just my life. It was just kind of like I actually went on I went on like a 21-day fast. I didn't eat any food. I just drank water. If you look at the pictures um from my junior year, like how I look to my senior year,
Right.
there's drastic change in like my face, how I look, because I wasn't eating. Like I was so downcast, and I just was like, what is life? Who am I? Um, and so I just started rolling. Does any of that make sense? What I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanna I'm gonna pause right here because I think it deserves a recap from different emotions that we go through. Now, I happen to know what your temperament is. I know what my temperament is because I'm a temperament expert. And so we have very different temperaments. And so you were able to try to support the team, be there near the team, and then you went into a state of depression, and then you didn't eat. Okay. So everybody, look, sometimes we all are going to grieve differently. Griefing doesn't is not a formula for it, except
Mm-hmm.
for recognizing that you are going through and experiencing a loss and then plugging yourself in with some support and tools to help you deal with it. Now, me, I
Right.
was opposite. I walked away from my scholarship because I couldn't be
Yeah.
in the environment. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
be around the team. I didn't want to be on campus. And I started drinking and rolling them up, and it was really bad. And I had to come to a place where I had to leave that environment in order to stop doing that. And I didn't watch any football for the next 4 years. Not
Yeah.
one game, not a high school game, not a college game, not a pro game. And that was the way that I dealt with losing. So we all are going to deal with it separately
Mm-hmm.
and individually, and the goal really is to get some type of help. So when you were in your depression, how did you begin to come out of that? What sort of things did you do to start recovering? What sort of pre-training because I always talk about in becoming unbreakable, you have to take some of the things you did before you got broken and
Hmm.
transfer some of them skills over, like 2 a days, practicing all
Right.
day, running all day. When you
Hmm.
apply that same energy and effort to get out of a hole or out of depression, what sort of things did you do to begin to come out of that state?
Yeah, I think like I was so um, up until that point, I had been so dependent upon what I could do. You know, we talking about like being a high performer, right? And this is you get to Michigan State, you get to the what we would call like the blue bloods. Like when you get to this level, it's kind of like you believe that the way that you get here, which is was is partially true, what I'm about to say, but it's not. I would say it's not completely true.
Right,
Like you believe that you get there by way of getting everything out of the mud. In other words, it's like you believe that you got to the place that you got to out of your own brute strength. It's kind of like your willpower.
right,
When in actuality, that's not true because I can look back over my life and I can see that I had my father who was training me, who spent so much money to take me to different places to learn more about to how to develop the skill set that I needed to be the best player I could be.
right,
I had my mother who was supporting me. I had a ton of coaches who taught me the game. I had a wonderful high school coach um, who coached at a high level, which means that he exposed me to what it was like to be a part of a Division I program. And then when I got to college, I had Tom Izzo, who was a Hall of Fame
right.
coach,
Definitely.
put me in the position that I needed to be in. I had a strength coach who taught me how to take care of my body that was really good in Michigan State and in high school. So I had all of these different people around me that if I really look at it, um, those are people that were sent into my life to come alongside of me to actually help me be the best that I can be. So in actuality, it wasn't just me who got me to Michigan State. You know, it was people that were sent into my life to help me. And so to tie it all into answering your question, it was somebody else that came into my life that um, that mentored me out of that place. He was a pastor then. He's currently a pastor now. And when I met him, he kind of I don't even think he knew that he was doing this,
Okay.
but just like how my high school coach was helping me, just like how my strength coach in high school was helping me, just like how Coach Izzo and all of these people that have been sent into my life were helping me in basketball. He began to help me um, with me, and so what happened was what got me out of that place of depression was me partnering with this pastor and this pastor helping me begin to see who Joshua Langford was outside of his sport,
That's right.
who Joshua Langford was outside of his performance. And what happened was I began to like this weight of what I would call like what I call it is the prison of performance.
That's right. Ooh.
Him communicating to me and teaching me um, how to learn more about me outside of what I did, it was breaking me out of the prison of performance, and those shackles was coming off of me. And as those shackles was coming off of me, that depression, it was beginning to leave my life because I was beginning to be free from um, performance,
That's right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
makes it makes real good sense. And
Yeah.
so I kind of wanna I wanna I wanna I'm gonna recap this. First
Hmm.
of all, anybody on the wood, on the turf, in a career, on a job, it doesn't matter. Realize that there were people who sold into you before you got there.
Most
That's
definitely.
that's the first thing. And I
Most
think it was
definitely.
really important that even after you make a shift or a change, there are people that's going to sow into you to help you move on to the next phase. That's why
Hmm.
getting coaching is so important. And it doesn't matter what level you performing at. Having a coach, having a career coach, having a spiritual coach, having someone to continue to sow into you to get to the next level, having a financial coach, all of these things are important. And those things is what help you become unbreakable.
Hmm.
That's super that's super important. And thank you, Pastor, for that too, by the way, because we can get caught up to where we don't really deal with our emotions, and the sports determine who we are
Right.
in our identity, and you
Hmm.
do have to find another identity.
Yeah.
And it was my dad who helped me um determine who my identity was. He gave me work skills. He always kept me with him. He showed me what I could do. He always took me to practice. He exposed me to other coaches. And I knew that once I got hurt, if I left that environment, I knew how to work.
Hmm.
And so I was instantly able to be a part of a program. I got a job, and I actually stayed at that program for 13 years, left, coached college football, head coach. Had an opportunity to move on and continue my coaching career, but I chose to be a dad and a family man. And I coached, high school football after that. And I just always stayed involved. But that initial healing process took some time in order to be back around the sport. And
Hmm.
and I loved helping prepare other people, and I saw that I could do that not only on the field, but off the field is equally as important, because again, it goes to what you said. What's your identity? Who are you really before you even went into the sport and became famous? And who are you after the sport?
Hmm.
And so I have a question I want to ask you. If you had to do it all over again, going into Michigan State,
Hmm.
what sort of mindset would you have changed or added to? For example, I would have been there 5 years, but I think I was there like 4 years and 2 semesters. Okay.
Hmm.
And 30
Hmm.
credits left before I was going to have a psychology degree, which I didn't even want. But um, uh, my whole, if I had to do it over again, I
Hmm.
would have been preparing to get a master's, because 5 years you should be able to get a master's.
Hmm.
I would have made. I probably wouldn't have went to no parties. I
Hmm.
probably would have been about my business, because it's a short period of time and you don't know when it's gonna change on a dime. And I probably would have collaborated and met more people and tried to do more partnerships
Hmm.
outside of the football world.
Hmm.
Those are three things I would have done differently. I would have had a vision for what I'm gonna do after college. Even if I thought I was gonna go pro, it's not if you don't go pro, what was gonna happen? Because I didn't even consider that. I didn't even ask that. I mean, I knew all of, like you said, it's the performance
Hmm.
bondage, because I can perform in a way that will make people play me. That was my attitude.
Right.
And so what sort of things would you have done differently? Or what advice would you tell young cats going into the college game that they should do or add to their repertoire?
Um, I would say, man, I would have been more present. And I know that sounds very simple, but I just believe that the way that the way that God works, I believe that He sends you everything that you need. I can look back, everything that you just talked about, that you said you would tell people to do,
Mm-hmm.
or that you would have done differently. I can look
Yes.
back over all areas of my life and see God sending people. First, my father, um, but then also other people while I was in state to sow those kind of seeds in my life. But I was so not in the moment. There's a proverb that I've been really chewing on lately, and it talks about how the diligent man or the diligent person, they know how to work their land. And in working their land, it produces an abundance of food. But then
Ooh,
it's but then it says the one who chases fantasies will then come to ruin. That's heavy.
that's ooh.
That's
Come on
heavy.
now.
That's
Come
heavy.
on now.
But the wisdom of it is simply being present. I was talking about this principle with my sister, and she was like, "Yeah, that's just being present." And I think when we're when we are where our feet are at, it opens up our eyes to see how we can be diligent in the moment. Because a lot of times we stop being diligent because we're not in the present, and we're
Wow.
and that lack of being in the present, the root of it is we're chasing fantasies. We're being tossed and we're being tossed back and forth by, like you said, the parties. We're being tossed back and forth by people being um, like, you know, thrown aback by who you are, and oh,
Yep.
this is Joshua Langford. Oh, this is Kid. Like we're being tossed back and forth by all of these distractions, really.
Distractions.
You know what I'm saying? And so
I do.
I would say that, I would simply be present. Here's the crazy thing. I talk about like that pastor came into my life and he
Right.
helped me break out of the prison of performance. There was actually a woman that my first year in East Lansing, a woman came to me and she felt like God was speaking to her and telling her to tell me something. So she told me, she said, remember who you are. You know who you are. Basically, she's like, don't let anything take you out of who you are.
Wow.
And what that spoke to was identity. Like she was speaking to identity before I even went through my, these different ups and downs of trying to find myself, being caught in performance. Like she like went before me and said, okay, hey, think about this, remember this, meditate on this, sit on this, chew on this before you go out and do all these other things because this is going to help you. But because I wasn't in the present moment, I let it slip away. Here's what I was thinking. She came to both of my friends at the time and she was like, she gave them this profound message that she felt like God was sharing with them. Like, and I was like thinking, well, dang, why ain't I get that? Like,
Right.
I was I was too busy comparing myself with my friends that I let myself get out of the moment. And so I think, that's what I would tell myself. And then just encouraging any other young athlete or any, we this podcast isn't just the athletes, it's for everybody who's wanting
Just
to
for
be
everybody.
high performer, like be in the moment. And it sounds so simple, but it's so profound because in the moment it's these ingredients that we can find for success and for victory and for overcoming situations that we thought, man, how did this situation even get into my life? Like the moment helps you stay connected to those ingredients, those nuggets that are placed in our life, I believe by God to help us experience a good life and, experience what it's like to actually be fulfilling our potential as people.
Right. And be just that being in the moment is so important. important because we do get distracted.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, I've talked to people, they say they don't believe in attacks. I think that's the first distraction and of not being in the moment. That if
Hmm.
you think you're not gonna come under some type of distraction, even when you compare yourself, that's a distraction.
Distraction.
That's the
Yeah.
one of the number one tools in the first line of attack.
Hmm.
It's your basic man-to-man defense. It's
Right.
your basic preparing for job promotion, and you don't get the promotion. Now you comparing yourself. I'm better than this person over here, or I can outperform that person over there, or why I didn't get this. I had that skill set. That person can. That comparison will keep you out of the moment, and it is a major distraction. It's a career killer. It's a steam. The momentum will break you down in a minute. And so what you saying is very, very important and true. And it's a part of staying unbreakable, preparing before you even get into a performance state.
Right.
Remembering who you are before you
Yeah.
even start your day.
Right. Yeah. And I think um, I think it was maybe Theodore Roosevelt said this. He said, "Comparison is the thief of joy."
One more time. Say that one more time, Josh.
He said, he said, "Comparison is the thief of joy."
Comparison is the thief of joy. That's
Yeah.
right.
Comparison is the thief of joy. And so it's like, you know, yeah, I don't even think I need to say anything else after this.
look, look. I'm gonna say it one. I'm gonna say it one more time. Comparison is the thief of joy,
Hmm.
and that is so important. Not to compare yourself, because that will steal a whole lot of stuff. Even the moments you're supposed to be enjoying and preparing for the journey, rob you blind.
Hmm.
Wow. So let's switch as we get ready to bring it to a close. So you have now a coaching program called 9-1 coaching.
1-9
One
coach.
nine, 1-9, 1-9. That's right. I gotta remember throw it on the one before the nine, baby. One 9 coaching.
Mhm.
And talk a little bit about your 1-9 coaching and what exactly um is your vision for that. Because I want to be able to support you. I want to be able to get you to some resources. I want to be able to connect you to whoever I know
Mhm.
in that area. And so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so essentially what is is birthed out of me knowing what it's like or knowing what it feels like to question whether or not I am adequate enough in the game of basketball. Like I remember a specific time in my career. This is when I was younger, and I was playing with the team that they were a little bit older than me, but I didn't play at all. Man, I didn't play at all, and you talk about being hurt. Like I was so hurt, I was devastated, and I remember sitting down with my father. Um, and my father and I, we had a conversation about that, and he was like, "Do you really want to be good at this game? Like, I will be willing to help you be good at this game." And I was like, "Yeah, I want to." And so from that day forward, man, my dad and I, my dad is my guy, man.
Look,
My
I
dad is
understand
my
that.
guy. So, man, we spent countless hours in the gym. I mean, countless hours. I have some stories, man, that you'd be like, man, what? Like, me and my dad spent countless hours in the gym, and um, I think did we do everything perfectly? No, I don't think so. But
No,
also at the same time, we were pursuing um, basically this journey or this dream of me. fulfilling my potential. And this is what I might diverge a little bit. Is
That's
it okay?
okay. Yeah,
And
absolutely. 'Cause look, we keeping it real on Unbreakable.
yeah, and so actually what happened was how I got even more settled in, let being okay with letting go of going to the NBA was that I realized what got me on the journey before. Like I realized that I began the journey. I didn't really have the NBA in mind when I began the journey. That was something that I began to grab a hold of as I start seeing myself getting better, and I start like, oh man, I would like to do that. But the reason why I started the journey was simply just to be my best self in the game. It was because my dad and I decided that, hey, let's just pursue this journey of optimizing myself in my skill set, or learning how to be as skilled as I possibly can, learning how to master this game so that I can be the best that I could be. Simple as that. And then the McDonald's All American came, and the Nike Hoop Summit game came, and Michigan State came, and like those things were not things that I was trying to really get. I was more or less focused on mastery, on learning how to be the best I could be at basketball. And so when I thought back to that journey, what I realized was like, oh man, like I didn't fail, I didn't lose, I didn't just because I didn't go to the NBA, it didn't mean that I was unsuccessful. No, I actually went from a kid that didn't get off of the bench to Joshua Langford. Like people remember my career. People know about me for my ability to play the game. So I just wanted to diverge there and say, I don't know, I feel like that may have been another nugget for somebody that, it's very important to just remember the journey. Why did you start? Because if you get back to the first love, to your first reason why,
Ooh.
it settles you. It kind of gives you perspective. And what I realized that, perspective wasn't actually a place. Like it was it wasn't a destination, it was a mindset. It was journey. And so, um, but yes, I just wanted to diverge there because I felt like we needed to go there real quick.
I,
You got anything on that?
no, I'm glad I'm glad you did because I think as you were explaining that, I was reflecting back, as you were speaking, um the journey we don't know at the end. I think at the end, I when I got started, um it started because my mother told me I couldn't follow instructions. And I said, because I think I said, you know what? I think I would like to play pro football. She was like, man, you would never play no pro football, any other type of ball, because you don't like to be told what to do. You can't follow the instructions. If a coach told you to do something, you would tell the coach you what you gonna do and what you not gonna do. It was
Mm-hmm.
that day I went outside, waited for my dad to pull up in the driveway, and I said, Dad, Mama said I can't follow instructions. Would you take me to go sign up to play football? That's how I got started. And it
Wow.
really got started because I enjoyed playing
Mm-hmm.
and getting back to that love of running, and people can't catch you, they can't touch you. That's how I
Yeah.
end up being a running back. And
Yeah.
getting back to them things that you love, I think is so important, even in your career. And a lot
Man.
of people are lost because they're doing things to survive, they're doing things to live. And I think that hurts their mental health, their mental wellness,
Mm-hmm.
versus understanding how you're wired,
Mm-hmm.
staying in the moment, not comparing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
not comparing yourself, and
Hmm.
getting back to them things that you love to do. And a lot of people don't know what they love to do. And that's why what Unbreakable does with personality temperaments, understanding how you're wired, showing people where their strengths are so that they can be healthy in their performance and be happy in life.
Yeah.
That was real good, getting back to doing what you love. And so,
Yeah, man. I
wow.
Can we keep going on this?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do it.
I just yeah, I just think like the way to if I think about the moments where I performed at my highest level, like when I was just kind of like on autopilot, where everything was clicking. I didn't feel like I could miss a shot, and if I missed a shot, it felt like I made the shot, and that's why I shot the next shot again. You
Right.
know, like when everything was clicking, and I look back over my career when everything was clicking at its highest level, at the highest level possible, rather, I was not I was not over analyzing anything, and I believe that not over analyzing all of everything and my mistakes and this or that, it really helped me get back to being a child, to being childlike, and in being childlike and in being adventurous and in being open to just being in the moment and just playing. It helped me perform better. And I can, but then I also can look at the times where maybe I didn't perform as I wanted to, as high or as best as I would like to, or most, or in a way that I wanted to. I was thinking so much, like I lost adventure, I lost play, I lost. You talked about how you started when you started football. You like being able to run and people not catch you. Like that's so childlike, man. Like
That's
you,
childlike.
you
Nah,
know what I'm
nah, you
saying?
can't catch me.
Yeah, like have some fun. Like let your shoulders back. Like you know what I
That's right.
mean? And I think that's why I like what you said you're doing, where you help people discover their personality. Really, it's kind of giving them that invitation to just be themselves, to just
Exactly.
be. And in just being, you find adventure. And you're finding adventure because you're getting back to just being a child, not being immature, not being irresponsible. In fact, most children are very responsible, can be very responsible emotionally without you teaching them, because
Right.
they know how to communicate how they feel. They know how to, like so. Man, I think that's so profound when it comes to performing at your highest level and being unbreakable.
That's right.
Is being childlike, because children are very, if you we just take children for example, like they're very malleable. I mean, they give you a run for your money at times, but like a child can. And I have two kids. I have two kids under two, so I'm experiencing this a lot.
Right.
But a child can be, they can feel something the first in one moment, be very frustrated, and then the next moment they can be laughing and playing, and
And they done
you know
moved on. That's
and
right.
moved on.
That's
You
right.
know, and so I think being childlike, being malleable, being open, being adventurous, being playful, not immature, not irresponsible, not slothful in what you're supposed to do, but it's like being playful, man. It just increases your level of performance,
That's right.
I
That's
believe.
right. That's beautiful, man. And
But
it keeps you young and that baggage with you.
yeah, yeah. But let me go back. You want me to answer your question now?
Okay, that's all right.
I just feel like, man, we should talk about that, because I just think that was something that we should talk about.
Well, I'm glad, and you go to your next point. But as we get ready to roll up on that time, I want to invite you back to Unbreakable, because I think and I like to collaborate with you on some projects because between your experience as a young man and I'd have moved into the state of the elders now. I
Mhm.
think we can help a lot of people just because. what you experience in your 20s is the same thing people is experiencing in their 50s and 60s, and they still not prepared for it.
Hmm.
So I can help from one end and you can help from the other end, and we could get resources to people, show people how to rewire, how to prepare for success, how to recognize and make those adjustments, how to deal with the emotional state that they're in, how to deal with the mental state that they're in, and how to make those adjustments, because sometimes we feel like our feelings or our thoughts is wrong because we've suffered a major change and we've
Hmm.
actually let the attack whoop us.
Yeah.
And then you add comparison on that. And we
Hmm.
don't understand really how to fight the right way. We fight
Hmm.
the wrong way and we end up hurting our loved ones. We end up hurting our children because of things we may go through. And the
Right.
whole goal really is to effectively partner with people, because there's a scripture in the Bible that I always love. It says, I'm paraphrasing, but it says, first one can put 1,000 to flight, but two can put 10,000 to flight.
Hmm.
And woe is the man who's by himself when he falls, because he don't have anybody to pick him up. So
Yeah,
you
that's tough.
can't isolate. You really need to collaborate and partner with people through your journey in life, whether you are being successful or whether you coming from a place of distress. Is really all about that community, that love, that partnership, and those healthy collaborations. That's
Hmm.
super important. And so you can go but just I just want to make sure I invite you to come back just in case if we
Yeah.
don't get there. But so as we get ready to wrap it up, talk about, share with what you would want people to take away from this, from your experience.
Yeah. So I'll answer the previous question and then I answer this question at the same
Okay.
time. Um, and then also I would love to collaborate. I think. I mean, I even think the bald head is just. I think
Look,
that
I
might be
know,
a
right?
sign.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right,
Yeah.
baby. That's right.
Yeah. But no. So I mean, I think, man, ultimately we all want to be able to perform at the highest level that we were created to perform. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Um, I think that's actually how we're wired. I'm not the personality coach, so maybe you can dive deeper into that. But I believe that that's how we were wired, and so essentially what I'm trying to do at 19 coaching and 19 sports is just help young high school athletes learn the tricks of the trade that I was able to gather on my journey with my father, in trying to be the best athlete that I could be. So essentially, I want to be able to develop high school athletes in their skill set when it comes to the game of basketball. As simple as that.
Right.
Um, and then because it does something to you emotionally when when you have confidence in your skills. And you talked about, um, earlier in our conversation where your dad teaching you the things that he taught you. Um, one of those things being hard work, being knowing how to work hard. Even if a high school athlete goes through like this coaching journey with me, it doesn't mean that they won't get anything out of it, because they'll still be learning how to be diligent. And if you can be diligent in any area of life, you will find an abundance of food. In other words,
That's
like,
right.
you'll be successful. Like,
That's
it's
right.
just simple as that. There are no secrets to success. There are no secrets to mastering your craft or mastering anything that you're doing. All
That's
you gotta
right.
do is just work hard. And then, like you said, have somebody to train you, have somebody to coach you. And so what I want to do at 19 Sports, 19 Coaching, is essentially come alongside a high school athlete, and coach them in how to develop themselves as a high school basketball athlete. But then as I'm doing that, they're learning how to work hard. They're learning the 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 ingredients to success. Um, and so the reason why I am doing that is because what I learned in my own journey is that sports can be a great life teacher. If
Absolutely.
and it's such a, it's a controlled environment where before you get in life, you get a chance to experience life, so that when you experience life, when life starts life and how we talked about before,
That's right.
you have the tools. I think there are three areas that somebody should be sharp in. I think they should be sharp in their mindset, their
Mm,
skill set, and their
yes.
toolkits. Like you need to have the right, if you want to be sharp in a marriage, you need to have the right mindset, you need to have the right, you need skills, you need somebody to come alongside of you and coach you in okay, these are the skills you need to have: communicating, listening. Me and my wife, we went through counseling, um, and one of the things that they talked about was how important it is to be an active listener. Like that's a skill. You need somebody to come into your life and coach you in that, right?
That's right.
And then you need tools. Like it's good to have books. It's good. Now you don't want to be overwhelming yourself with knowledge, but Proverbs, we've been in Proverbs, and Proverbs talks about how valuable it is to get wisdom, how valuable it is to get knowledge, because there are things that um, you can find out about a particular area of life that you, in a book, in a tool, that had you not got that tool or used that tool, you wouldn't have known what you needed to know to have the right mindset, and then try to go get the skills you need to be better in what you learned in that tool. So it's like you need to be sharp in your mind, your skills, and your tools. And so that's um, on my in my experience, I've learned that, and I also want to give that in the form of 1-9, 1-9 sports, 1-9 coaching. Is I want to help high school athletes understand that they can perform well. Like I give you one more story, and then
Okay. Yep.
there was this young man that I used to work out with. His name was Antoine Davis. When I first met him, man, he was he wasn't the best. He was not the best. Let's put it that way. But him and his father, man, when I tell you, they put in tons and tons and tons of hours, wise, like very effective and impactful hours in his game. Man, his game went to a whole nother level, and it was like he was a completely different person.
Right.
And it does. I think it really does something to a person when they're able to go from maybe not being so good in a particular area, and then becoming good in a particular area. It just does something to them emotionally and mentally. So that's my experience, and that's what I want to give to people in 1-9
That's good, man. That's
1-9
real
coaching.
good. They do need that to fill our toolbox. Even at the age of 60, and me and my wife, we go to a marriage retreat every year.
Hmm.
We do our marriage retreat assignments every week because it is a part of sharpening the skill set in order to be successful.
Right.
Just so some of y'all know, we don't follow the romance Disney model of marriage. So we super happy. I just had to throw that out there real quick. We super happy over here because we don't subscribe to that. We
Yeah.
subscribe to the real, and that is you do have to put in work and learn how
Oh
to
yeah.
communicate. You do
Yeah.
have to get skills, like you said, about the act of listening. You
Hmm.
know, it's not about trying to win the argument. It's about standing together and covering each other's back to make sure we clear in the direction that we going. And that's not a microwave formula. Sometimes that takes time. You need to work on your patience, but I'm not gonna go down that road on that one yet. But man, Joshua, thank you for coming and sharing. I'm looking forward to collaborating with you going forward.